it was Tim Hardaway and Jaylen Brown didn't try to go over it. Why are you not fighting over screens at the buzzer, bro? It's the last shot. It's Luka.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Targeting Podcast, boys.
Yes, sir.
How are we doing this week?
Pretty good.
All right,
absolutely great. If you can't tell, I'm now in Florida, so I am doing absolutely great. It is good to be back in the warmth.
Nah, it's just a virtual background. Don't let them play it.
Well, first we'll start with the sad note. Tiger Woods got in a single car crash. They used the jaws of life to get him out. I don't know if you boys knew what that was before they said
I didn't know what it was before. I thought it sort of meant like brink of death type of thing. Like
that's what I thought it meant.
Yeah, but I guess it's just a tool they use to pull you out of wrecked cars.
Cut metal.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a scary moment. I'm glad that it came out that he wasn't drunk or anything. It's just a freak accident. So I hope he's all right. I know he went right into surgery.
They get to use that on him. He definitely does that. I didn't even see the car crash, but that thing.
He had compound leg fractures, which means the bone came through the skin, and he had a shattered ankle. So not good. He went right into surgery.
Multiple leg injuries.
Good thing he doesn't play a contact sport. I mean, he'll be back out there.
We'll see if he'll be back
out
there.
For a while.
Step one is just being able to walk again. So I just hope I hope he's all right.
Yeah. Well, prayers up to him. And then we'll get into player of the week. John, you want to start with yours? We'll start with John this week.
We got Pasternak. I mean, the Bruins are hot. Pasternak's got 2 games played, 4 points. That's a hat trick as well. He got a hat trick on there. Oh my God! And the Tahoe game to even say it. So, God, and he's rocking those little those visors out there. Oh my God! You see those pink buttes? You see those pink buttes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The whole Bruins team pulled up in the 1990 retro stuff. It was hilarious.
Oh my God! I think they
weren't going to lose with all that drip. There was no way they were losing.
I think my favorite moment was though when they played out in Notre Dame, and they came out looking like Peaky Blinders.
Oh yeah, yep, I remember that.
That was probably the best one. But nonetheless, awesome. Pasternak definitely takes it away for this one with a nice 7-3 win and hat trick on that, of course. So great game by him. He's actually having a phenomenal. I mean, for him not starting off the season, he's already got I think like 2 hat tricks, and he's already he's low on the points board. He's already cooking up, and Bergeron and Marshy have been playing the whole season, and they're like high up there too. So
absolutely, he's off to a hot start for sure. Man, it's really good to see him back out there.
Love there. All right, Justin, do you want to go with yours next? And then
yeah, sure, for sure. I'm gonna go with Zach LaVine this week. 32 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds for him this week. The team went 4-1, and he got his first AllStar selection, which thank God. It was good. I didn't want another Bradley Beal situation from last year where the guy averaged 30, and it was just because the team wasn't really winning a ton of games. Even though the Bulls are in like the 9 or 10 seed, they're not like losing a ton. But I'm glad he got in, because if you're putting up numbers like that, I don't really care what your record is. You deserve to be an all-star, because this guy's tearing up the league night in and night out. He just doesn't have a bad performance. So it's definitely Zach LaVine for me. And actually, I don't know if you guys saw, but when he went into his like AllStar Game press conference and stuff, when he got selected, the whole team like surprised him with like a bunch of like veterans. Like Jamal Crawford was there, his family, they had some teammates there. So he's just super thrilled to be there. I'm happy for him. He definitely deserved it.
Definitely, yeah, I did see that. That was a cool video, because like he didn't expect it, so it was. I know, that was absolutely a cool moment.
But
and then I'll just go with mine. So mine was just Devin Booker. Mainly, he's been having a pretty good season. Had 2 30-ball games the last 2 games, and got his All-Star. Well, I guess he didn't technically get selected, but Davis is not, I believe, not playing, so they subbed him in.
Right.
Right. But when he didn't get selected, LeBron was tweeting, and a lot of players around the league were like, "This is kind of bullshit. Like Devin Booker belongs in the All-Star Game," and sure enough, he got in there. So he's going to be my player of the week. It was actually surprising to me. I don't know for you, but like how many people, and rightfully so, felt they got snubbed. Like I feel like it was more than in years past, because I feel like there's
pretty close, but this season was definitely, we had like some not first timers, but we had some like people you haven't seen in a while.
Well, I just mean like generally, like a lot of people felt like they got snubbed, and I feel like more than in years past. Like I feel like you always get like 1 or 2 that like
right, because like
I think
last year was
being
Beal, that was the
well.
big one.
Yeah.
I think this season everyone's playing well. You have a lot of low teams too that have like people that are playing well. I mean, like for example, not to say the Hornets were low, but they were low starting off, and LaMelo was just cooking. But I mean, so you could argue that LaMelo, and a lot of players too. I mean, I don't think anyone saw the Bulls that we're gonna have Zach LaVine get on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just how it goes.
Well, especially in the East, there were definitely like a number of snubs, like Trae Young. We had Tobias Harris. Ben Simmons got in over Tobias Harris. When Tobias Harris has been the second best player on that team this year. Sabonis didn't get in, and that was a lot of people were upset about Sabonis.
Yeah.
And actually, people were upset that the Celtics got two players in when the Celtics are sitting outside the playoffs right now. We have two guys in there, and a lot of people were upset about that. So, I mean, I'm obviously thrilled for Jason and Jalen that they got in, but I do understand what people are saying. The team isn't really winning. We've been terrible, but I'm thrilled for those guys.
Yeah, that's
right into that soon. Man.
Yeah, we can get into that situation. So
actually, before we get right into that, though, you had mentioned Devin Booker as your player of the week, and I just thought it was crazy that Chris Paul was originally selected and D-Book wasn't. So D-Book got in on the injury reserve, but Chris Paul was selected before Devin Booker as a regular All-Star. I just think that that's crazy. Look, CP3 has been doing a lot for that team. It's a big part of their winning, but you can't look at that team and say Devin Booker is the second best player.
Well, no,
it's obviously Devin Booker.
Remember, the NBA is all politics, so they're going to give it to that veteran guy that team picked up because they're going to give it to him as the.
Right. I just found that crazy. I couldn't believe when I saw that.
Yeah, I just think I agree with you, Justin. I think it's just CP3 is a veteran guy. As long as he's putting any numbers up, he's going to get like a selection, I feel like. Mike Conley actually joked that he was like, maybe if my team went 31-0, then I would have got looked at. But
Mike Conley, there was a case for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's honestly you gotta get your name out there, and once you do, after that, as long as you're putting up decent numbers, I mean, they're gonna select you. They want to see the best of the best, but they also want to see the most popular players, and I think that's why I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been playing relatively well. Like, I don't think their play necessarily like shows the like is correlating with
right.
But nonetheless, as long as they're putting up numbers, those two guys are always going to be on the All-Star, as long as they're putting up any numbers, because they're just popular guys. Same thing.
A lot of things I don't think any of us saw is just what the fuck is going on with the Celtics? Like, honestly, you're at the 3 seed, then you move down to the 4 seed. Like, I'm sorry, but I understand if the 76ers, the Nets, the Bucks are above you, right? You had the 4 seed solidified. Now the Pacers were going back and forth like you were. Now the Pacers take the 4 seed. The Raptors, who were just completely out of the playoff picture, now have jumped up to the 5th seed. The Bulls, who were not a playoff team last season, the Hornets now have jumped up. I mean, the fucking Heat have now pulled themselves out of the gutter because the Celtics have been so bad.
Let me preface, if you haven't heard, the Celtics are currently, if the season ended today,
7 in the last 10.
Yeah, if the season ended today, the Celtics would not be in the playoffs. And we all know why this is strange. If you watch the NBA, you know why this is strange. Because a lot of people thought they'd be contenders, but they're not even like at this point going to make the playoffs. So I guess I'll start with you guys. I'll ask you guys a question. Do you think this trend continues out the season and the Celtics find themselves not in the playoffs? John, you were talking, so I'll let you go first.
I think that they have the chance to pull out the season. I mean, a lot of these teams that are sitting at like honestly, from the 4 to the 9 seed right now, or even actually going down to the 10 seed, I'm just looking at it right now, all these teams are within a game or two of each other in like standings wise. So it's really going to come down to the wire. And I think that the Celtics are a closing team. Typically, they've always been a closing team, so I think that they could close it out. I think they've just really suffered to bad teams early on. They've just let them beat them up. They beat themselves. They haven't transitioned on offense. They've been giving away the ball. They've been playing defensive basketball as much as they can, and then they're letting up. When you give up so many points, defensive basketball only is going to save you so that your offense can come in. And it just seems like they do that until the final quarter or so, and then the other team just cooks them up. And I mean, honestly, I can understand if you lose to, the Knicks once, or if you lose to, who knows, the Hornets, but you can't be losing to the Pistons. You can't be losing to the Cavs. You can't, I'm not saying they lost to all those teams, but the Pistons, they have had some troubles with this season, and you can't lose to those teams. I'm sorry, at the end of the day. If you're going to be a team that wants to win the championship, you can't. And I will say, I think that they have a chance to make the playoffs. I will have faith in them, with Jason and Jalen out there who have been consistently playing well, even though the team's struggling. I think, and Brad Stevens, I think that they will pull it out, but they'll probably snag an 8 or 7 seed. They're not getting up there very much unless they literally finish the season 10-0, these next couple of games. But I'm going to say this season is just not going to be their season, period. The Nets, the 76ers, they're already hot. I mean, when you look at the West, the fucking Jazz, and we're not going to – we agreed that the Jazz may or may not be a bust for them in the playoffs, but the teams that are playing right now that are in the top seeds are high-caliber teams that don't let up against bad teams. So I don't see – even the Nets have shaped up. The Nets have fucking shaped up. They finally pulled their shit.
They have been more than shaped up. They're looking filthy, and Kevin Durant has even come back.
Let me just say right now,
is going to be scary.
I think we all agree it's probably going to be like the Bucks-Chiefs situation. It's probably going to be the Nets and Lakers, and the Celtics are just going to have to wait their time until they fucking – there needs to be a major change, and I can't tell you what it is. I can't pinpoint it because every season we have a consistently good season. We have a fairly good playoffs, and we just lose.
Justin,
somewhere in there. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Justin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you made a lot of good points there, especially about the fact that we've gone through a stretch of our season here where we played a lot of below 500 teams. We've lost to the Pistons, the Wizards, the Hawks, the Pelicans, the Mavericks, the Hawks again. All of those teams are under 500, and that's our last 10 games, and we've lost all of them. And you don't get that section of your season back. You have to take advantage. Good teams feast on those matchups. You can't be letting those teams feast on you. That just can't be the way it goes. And now we're in that same boat now, and we're going to be fighting an uphill battle from here on out. I think Jalen and Jason, I love those guys to death, and shout out to them. Congratulations to them. Couldn't be more happy for them to both be all-stars together. But at a certain point, you watch these games and you understand, these guys are – you can see that they're trying to get numbers almost. You can kind of see they're going for numbers. They're always calling ISO balls. They're trying to get themselves into a one-on-one situation so they can go score and get themselves their numbers. And now that they've been selected to the All-Star game, I'm done with that. I don't need you both averaging 27. How about 21, 22, and the Celtics are winning games? Because you should be caring more about your assist numbers than your points numbers at this point. They've got to move the ball. Our team assist numbers are way too low. We're not moving the ball at all. You watch the Utah Jazz, that ball touches all of his hands before it goes in every single possession. You watch the Celtics, it never touches at least 3. So it's just a problem. You have to move the ball. You have to get your feet in the paint in order to create open looks for guys outside the arc. You can't just be passing around the arc if you're going to there's just a lot of things that the team needs to be doing differently. And I think after the All-Star break, when Marcus Smart comes back, it's going to change everything. Marcus Smart is the heart and soul of this team, and he's going to he's going to get guys off their asses.
And he's the defensive mind.
Exactly. We gotta cut the shit here. We gotta be better. And the defense needs to be better too, but the offense certainly needs to look more fluid, it's not been a good brand of basketball. And so to answer your question, Jerry, I don't think it'll last because we are gonna get Smart back after All-Star, and Smart's gonna help a lot. Smart will change a lot. And I think Brown and Tatum are gonna wrap their heads around. I hope they have a fun weekend in Atlanta. I really do. Go enjoy the All-Star game. I hope they win MVP or whatever it is. It's frustrating to watch, man. It really is very frustrating to watch.
Great.
I honestly, if I was an all-star player and I was in that position where your team's not in the playoffs, I don't know what the rules are for the all-star game very well. I barely even watch it because it just ends up being just a bunch of guys just shooting the ball to get the 150 points. But I honestly, personally, in my opinion, I'd be like the Tom Brady in this case. I wouldn't go to it. I'd be working with the team. I'd be trying to get better. I'd be working on it.
So you get fined if you don't go, so, a good amount. So you actually, once you get selected, you go.
So no, I understand that, and I'll respect them going and everything. But at the end of the day, that shouldn't be their number one focus. That's
it isn't. And Jaylen Brown already came out and said I don't feel like much of an all-star. We're below 500, so it doesn't even feel good. So they know, and I like this. You just got to come back with a different mindset for the second half of the season, and it's got to be a different looking team.
Yeah,
100%.
What do you think, Jerry?
I think the crazy thing I just realized is the top 9 teams in the West are all at 500 or above, and only the top 4 of the Eastern Conference are at 500 or above. So,
and actually, real quick, I'll jump in with my stat of the week because it has exactly to do with that. Is that the Western Conference leads the Eastern Conference right now, 101-75 in the interconference matchups, and 11 years in a row, the West has won the interconference battle. So the West has been better than the East significantly for 11 straight years. I mean, this is just another year of this. The West has always been better than the East, and somehow at some point it's got to level out, you'd think.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. It's a good stat. I didn't know it was that long, but I just think when looking at that stat too, if you're the Celtics, like you should be leading that Eastern Conference, not every year because you're gonna have down years, but like especially now with the team you got, you kind of need to step up. You need to be
a top 3 team every year. You
need to be top 3 team every year. You need to have a good record. And I think their biggest problem right now, and I think Justin nailed the head on the coffin, nailed the what is that saying? Put the nail in the coffin. Put the nail in the coffin right there. Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. He said it when you need a leader back on that team, and Marcus Smart is that leader. I think the problem right now is Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are great players. No one's going to question that. Even Kemba, I think, is a really good player. But none of them are true leaders that are going to people that the team's going to rally behind, in my opinion. They're just really good players. Like no one's going to rally behind a Kevin Durant. He's just a really good player. No one's going to rally around a James Harden. He's just a really good player. So I think you need a guy like Marcus Smart to come in and kind of just
lead. A fighter. He's a dog.
Yeah, just to lead the team, get some energy back in that building, because right now it just seems like they just give up right now. It doesn't look like Celtics basketball, honestly. It just looks like you're just trying to use the talent that you have to win games. And we've seen in the NBA that you can have a lot of talent and you definitely need talent to get there, but that's not the end all be all. You have to kind of come together as a team. And like Justin said, they're not even moving the ball around. Like it's just Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown having a show. If you lock those guys up and you limit them to a certain amount of points, there's no one else on the Celtics team that's going to produce. There's no one.
I'm going to make a quick comparison, and I may be overstretching here, but I know Justin might agree with one of them. But to me, Marcus Smart is just a dog out there. He is the Sean Thornton for the Celtics team. He's the guy who's going to fight on that court for you, and he's going to play the basketball you need when it comes to clutch time. And similarly, I'm going to relate him. I can't really think of a good comparison with the Patriots, but the best one I can think of is Danny Amendola. He would come out to play in the playoffs. He'd have a meager regular season. He'd be there, though, for the team to lead. And then he would come out in the playoffs and he would have better points and better percentages than some of the people on the other teams. And that's just what you need. And it hurts a team like this when Marcus Smart is injured, because you can have 3 all-stars out there, but you still need some guy out there to lead the team. And sometimes you get away with the all-stars, but the Celtics aren't built around that system. The Celtics never have been. We've been a very average, very well-rounded team who works well with ball movement. And Justin hit again. He nailed the head in the coffin, or whatever the fucking saying is that. Put the nail in the coffin. The Celtics need to play like real basketball here. It's not all-star basketball where you're just taking shots from the arc and you're just hoping to get more points. It's you just heavy defense and you ball movement, transitioning. I mean, the way we give up the ball now, I've seen the Celtics are one of those teams that when they give up the ball, they just can't transition better into their offensive game. They need to stop giving up the ball, especially to teams that are below 500, because I'll tell you right now, just because a team's below 500 doesn't mean those guys out there are not all fucking pro players that can play basketball. If you give them a chance to play, they're going to go out and play.
Especially if you're letting them run in transition, like you said, like 20 times a night, like you can't. Of course, they're going to be capitalizing on those. Like they're an NBA basketball team, so I know it does definitely seem like the more and more we watch the Celtics without Smart, they just aren't valuing each possession as much as you need to. Every single possession is so crucial, and they're settling for bad looks, turning the ball over way too much. And at the end of the day, the best person in the entire league to value each possession is Marcus Smart. He's on the floor every single possession. He knows what every single possession means, and he's going to turn this team around. I'm very confident.
And I know we're being biased here with Marcus Smart, but I mean, really, I want to hear someone else come up and tell us, like, a team.
I think everyone's thinking the same thing. I think even if you're not a Boston fan, you're seeing that, like, we don't have Smart right now. Like, that's right. The main problem.
Yeah.
if this team doesn't turn it around with Smart, do you think Stevens is out the door or there's changes being made?
I think you can go, John, because I don't even know.
I was just going to say, I can't really – I've been surprised, and I'm going to get into something later with hockey. I mean, Claude Julien just got booted out the door.
I know, I saw.
For hockey, not going to transition right now, but I'll just lighten you onto that fact. Claude Julien and his assistant coach get booted out the door because they lost, I think, 3 or 4 games in a row to a below 500 team. And that's how hockey goes. Like, when a coach does that and they don't see a transition happening in that locker room, they booted him. And that team is like a playoff caliber team right now.
They've been really good. They've been really
good. They're top 5 or whatever. They moved down now, but Claude Julien has been getting it done this season. But that's what I'm saying here is I don't think that they want to get rid of him. But if they see that the team isn't the thing that needs fixing and that on management side, everything's fine. And I trust Danny Ainge. And if he makes the decision, he thinks that Brad is just, maybe if this is just an off year for him, give him one more season. That's what I think you should do. Give him one more season. But if he thinks that Brad is just suffering right now and that it's just going to be a continuation like this into the next season, you need to make the decision early on. And it sucks to say, but you can't let that decision go, because once you decide to bring him back, if it's going to be the same start to next season, it's going to be hard to just find a coach at the beginning of the next season. So you have to make that decision soon.
Yeah. I don't think we should be considering firing Brad, at least not right now. Like you said, at least not this season. This is not just on him. We've been riddled with injuries. We have a lot of things going on. Kemba Walker still isn't even healthy. You can see it every single night. He just isn't healthy. His knee isn't
playing at his caliber basketball.
It's at a certain. I wonder what to do with Kemba, because I love Kemba and I do think he's the perfect point guard for this team, but he's just not healthy. He keeps getting the injections in his knee instead of getting the surgery because he's trying to push it off. Like, at a certain point, you just got to get the surgery, sit out your time, and come back where you can actually be effective. He can't. He's not even at 80%. You can see it every night. He's not even at 80%. Like, he's hurt. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. But I do think, like you said, I trust in Danny. I've always trusted in the GM, and our front office has been the best in sports for the past decade here with the Celtics. But right now, I am a little frustrated with Danny Ainge because we have this trade exception and we have not used it. And I know that it's easier to say just use it because we don't, without putting a name to it, but there really isn't a lot available right now because all 30 teams are so good. There's not one team that's like super selling their big name guys because everybody's trying to compete. Nobody's really selling right now. So there's no name that we can just instantly attach onto this trade exception that's like, go get him. Why aren't we doing it? But use it on something. We have to use it on something. We're sitting here. We clearly need an extra piece. We got to use it on something. I feel like we just have to use it. And I think that's the next step before firing Brad is to just make a trade and bring something else in.
I feel like this has been the year of like very high caliber basketball across the league. Every team has been playing very high caliber basketball, no matter what their record is. And that just goes to show with the variety of all-stars this season from teams that usually were below 500 the last season. Like, teams are just working hard and players are playing their best basketball. They're just playing very good teams. So it's like you're going to lose to teams if you don't play. And that's what the Celtics are suffering from. And I think you're right. I think we need it, and I think we always needed another piece. We need something. And unfortunately, we're going to have to give up a lot, but we have a lot to give up. And it sucks to say, but we can't keep all the rookies that we got. We unfortunately are going to have to give up somebody to get somebody better that's going to last like a you've always said, like Miles Turner. We need someone like that who's going to give us some years, but also give us some playability. And I don't think it's Brad. I think Brad is working the best with what he's got. And I think, unfortunately, Kemba wants to be out there every single night because he knows he's got to be the leader that Marcus is not there. And I think that Kemba's pushing off that surgery as far as he can. But I think at the end of the day, for this season at least, in my opinion, I'm going to say it. I think you might just have to scrap the season for Kemba. Kemba might just have to get the surgery, take the year or whatever, how longer that surgery is going to last, and be healthy for next season. Because next season is the season that we need to just like completely turn the clock around. Because this season now, I mean, you can make the playoffs, but I just don't see you making a big run unless, Kemba is going to really, unless Kemba puts in 85% for me.
Yeah.
85%. I don't think you're going to make a run. So I think Kemba needs to get healthy.
I agree with that. I think unless you think you can suddenly change the season around, which I don't even think you can. I think you can get in the playoffs, but I don't think you can make a huge change by the end. But I think with that in mind, that Kemba does need to just
get surgery, come back next season. I also think it's different for Boston right now because I do think that team – I don't think a lot of teams play better when there's fans in their home building, but I know that like one place –
Celtics do.
Celtics do. TD Garden, when their fans there, it's just a different – they play differently. The environment's different. So if they have a shot at that next year, I just think you're better off having 100% team than, playing at 80% capacity. I don't think they'll get rid of Brad. I don't think they should. I do think we need to reevaluate like where we're at. Just because, and again, I don't think we've waited as long as other teams when it comes to rebuilding. Like I think other teams have rebuilt for longer and organizations have been more patient. But I feel like our time's now. Like I do feel like, or I guess we still got some young guys, but it feels like these next couple of years are prime time for winning a championship. And I would hate to see them go away. So that's the only thing I'm asking out of Danny is maybe not this year, maybe not even next year, but these next few years are key, I think, for winning a championship, just because I feel like we got the right pieces. We waited with the picks we've got from Brooklyn. We got those picks. We still have a few more, I believe, right? Or are they all out?
I believe they're all out from that trade. But every year, Danny's been just genius. We always have multiple first round picks.
He's compiling picks, but it's time to use those picks. And it's time to not.
We don't need the young guys anymore. We need talent for win now moments, like you said. So
we need to keep
it's just frustrating.
A couple of those guys, a couple of those rookies, but
it's just frustrating to see because I get that the league's competitive. I get that a lot more teams are winning than they used to. But in another sense, I think it's almost better because the margin's so thin. I think when the margin's wider, it's harder because you're just expected to beat those teams and then you have to almost play at a completely different level because you're let's say the Hawks a couple of years ago, right? The Hawks were terrible. If you're playing the Hawks, right, you almost have to you have to sit out guys and but now that the Hawks aren't that much different from whatever the 2 or 3 seed is, all you have to do is just play your brand of basketball. The teams are not that much different from each other except the Nets, I feel like. So as long as that happens, you'll win and you'll do well in the playoffs. Just start playing the regular season now like it's the playoffs. I just don't see – I think a lot of teams and us, I think a lot of people like us in just media overestimated the Celtics this season. And I think they got in their heads. I think they were this team's going to be a contender. They got all their pieces back. Obviously, we have the Nets, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to say the least.
It'll be interesting, and it really is an effort thing. We want to start winning games. It's just going to take more effort. We just got to work harder. It's that simple. And every team is going to be fighting every single night, and you just have to want it more. So, real quick before we move on from the Celtics, I will just say, shout out to Luka for that magic at the end of that Celtics game. As painful as it is to say that. I mean, I don't understand.
You got to give respect where respect is due.
Yeah, you have to. And that was ridiculous. Just back-to-back step-back threes that just you cannot stop him. You can't guard him.
That's where we try to defend him.
We threw doubles at him. Exactly. We threw doubles at him. He's 7 feet behind the arc. It just doesn't matter. That was painful. Very, very painful to watch. But shout out to him for that.
It was annoying though, because if you saw the problem there, it's because and this is why we need Smart back. You can't go under a guy like that. When they were setting the screen at the top of the key, I was like,
it was Tim Hardaway and Jaylen Brown didn't try to go over it. Why are you not fighting over screens at the buzzer, bro? It's the last shot.
That was annoying because I was like, Jaylen, that's textbook. That's what you learn in high school. When you got a guy like a 3-point shooter like that who can hit from anywhere, if you get a screen, the last thing you do is go under because he can just do exactly what he did. He can go back and step back. He has plenty of room to shoot. If you give him even a sliver, he's going to capitalize. I'm like, just go over the screen, fight over it, or tell him to switch and fight over it, and so you don't let anything happen. That's why I was so mad because I was like, if Marcus Smart was out there, that shot would have never even got off.
It never would have got off. And Jaylen Brown, for the elite defender that he is, you have to be fighting over that screen. And instantly Luka gets the switch onto the rookie Aaron Nesmith. Of course that's going in. That was never not going in once he got the switch on a Nesmith. So frustrating.
All too late. But I think that's another thing that's just, it's discipline and it's working harder than you need to. You need to recognize that a guy like that, like at that, it was like 3 seconds left on the clock. There wasn't even that much time. I'm like, there's no other play he's going to make except a step back three. That's all he's going to do. Just play. If they screen you, go over. And if they don't, if you can't get through the screen, switch immediately so that you can get that someone can still stay on the top of them. But that was just frustrating to see. But go ahead, John.
My what the fuck moment is still related to basketball.
Okay, all right, yeah, and then we'll move on to NHL.
But also, real quick with the just got a report. Kyle Lowry would like to play for the 76ers.
I did hear about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So wow, because actually the Raptors are undefeated without Kyle Lowry, which is a weird stat because Lowry's a very impactful player, but weird.
Yeah. I just think
that would be interesting to see.
That would be a great lineup, but hey, if they could get him for very little, that would just benefit them even more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be scary. That'd be scary.
That would be scary for the 76ers. I mean, they're already 21-12, and they're just cooking really out there.
Yeah.
But my what the fuck moment is it's going to end up being the what the fuck moment of the whole entire year, probably. I mean, like this player is just someone I despise entirely. It's Russell Westbrook. With my whole heart and soul. I mean, he misses a whole open layup, no defender nearby.
Was this in the Laker game?
Yeah,
or
I think it was. Yeah, I can't remember.
Okay.
He misses the layup, like literally, like it's like wide fucking open. Like you're outside in the middle of your yard, and you just go up and you go, and it goes right, and it just goes right over.
I saw this one.
Doesn't even touch the backboard. And his reaction is the same exact reaction he had when he missed his free throw when he airballed it.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck you expect, Russell Westbrook. You suck. And if you don't play high caliber basketball, you're not going to be on a high caliber basketball team. And I'm sorry, but Bradley Beal is carrying that team, and you're absolute ass. You need to just quit the league, leave. We don't like you. Nobody does. You're terrible.
I saw. What did I see the other day? I saw. Someone placed a $10,000 bet to win like a lot of money on the Wizards winning the playoffs. I was like, if you ever think that was going to happen, they're not even in the playoff picture right now. And I was just like, yeah.
That guy already had to pay up.
Yeah.
That's already a loss.
But come on, like Russell Westbrook is acting like all talk, like he's some all-star basketball player who should be in the all-star picture, and he's just playing terrible, terrible basketball.
Yeah, I know. Well, the Wizards actually have managed to win. They actually have managed to win 5 in a row, so they're sort of turning around. But you're absolutely right. I mean, Westbrook is.
But I mean, it's not Westbrook.
It's because of Beal. Yeah. So.
And you get into the all-star picture, and you get into these playoff pictures by being a team player. I'm sorry to say it, but even like the Nets have finally figured out somewhat of a picture of how to play team basketball with those three. That is how you play basketball.
Yeah.
You can't just go out there and just expect to have Russell Westbrook numbers and expect to win. That's not how this works.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely. And then last thing on basketball, real quick, is just thoughts and prayers go out to Yuto Watanabe or whatever his name is, family and himself, because you talk about putting a nail in a coffin. He's just in the coffin because Anthony Edwards absolutely detonated on him, and that man should leave the league right now. Pack your bags, you're done. You can't be in the NBA.
I knew he was going to bring that up. I knew he was going to bring it up.
Well,
he just got murdered.
Yeah, the funny thing about that dunk was that dunk immediately made me think of the LeBron James on Jason Terry, like 2013 or whatever. I forget when it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was
but I watched a video on Jason Terry talking about that.
I saw this too.
Did you see that video?
Yeah.
Jason Terry was like, I saw Mario Chalmers, then D Wade, and I just looked up and LeBron was already in the air. And he's like, why did I jump? Like, I was thinking the exact same thing. If you watch that video, he just hops. Like, it's not even like a real jump, but it makes
There's no chance he's blocking that.
Makes it look 1,000 times worse. But yeah, that's
he just jumped as if he could do something and get his body in there, but he wasn't doing anything.
And when you hear him talking about it, he got like roasted apparently the next day. He was just like everywhere online. They were like prayers out to Jason Terry.
He's kind of one of those guys where he just said like, guys, You can roast me. I don't even know what I was doing. Like I jumped. I don't know what I was doing.
Literally, that's what it was. That's what it was basically. But
dude, he said Wikipedia put his date of death as that.
Yeah. Wikipedia put his date of death as that game. That was fun. But
that's actually the greatest thing I've ever heard.
But on a real note, Anthony Edwards is like he's been playing low-key well, and he's a mad funny guy. But I really
he's hilarious. His interviews are so funny, dude. He's awesome.
We'll move on, but it made me think of John because what happened was he was getting interviewed by this Irish guy, and he had a nice thick Irish accent. That reminded me of John.
Nice thick Irish brogue.
Yeah, and he was like, he's like, "Hey Jim, where are you from?" or something like that, and he was like, "Ireland." He's like, "I like your accent. It's tough." And he's like, "Can you repeat your question?" I was just not listening.
I was just listening to the Irish brogue there.
Literally.
Yeah. But, no, he's hilarious. He's just such a fun-loving dude, and that's actually really important for that Timberwolves team. They just need somebody to be having fun out there, and I'm glad that he's that. Yeah, no, he's been awesome. The three rookies in this class. I mean, Wiseman's been great too, but LaMelo, Halliburton, and Anthony Edwards are like three stars in the making. They're all really good, and I think Wiseman's really good too. Definitely, but those three rookies have been.
I think that class
panning out well.
Yeah, I think that class will be special. But John, do you want to move on to little NHL news, and then we can?
Yeah, we can just move on to little NHL. I actually forgot to mention it happened about a week ago, and I totally forgot to mention it, and I saved it. But we had a trade. We had Ryan Dzingel went to the Sens
to Ottawa. Yeah,
Ottawa, and Galchenyuk and
Galchenyuk, who then got traded again, though. Galchenyuk
got traded again, so he got traded to. No, I think he got traded to Toronto.
Oh, I think you're right. I think it is Toronto.
So he got traded to Toronto, which is just another. Toronto's picking up a very good piece there. Just a very young guy who's just going to play great hockey. I mean, and Toronto, I have to say, is playing some really great fucking hockey this season. I mean,
oh my God, they're really good, dude.
They had an absolute snipe for an OT winner, I think, the other day.
I did, and that Toronto team is scary. And for the first time, because obviously the past like 5, 6, 7 years, it's been Maple Leafs getting first round, play the Bruins, lose because they can't get by the Bruins. Yeah. But for the first time, they don't actually have to go through the Bruins once the playoffs come around, unless
that's going to make it easy for them
or deep in, right? And they are a threat. They're a real threat. They're really damn good. Austin Matthews is like playing at an MVP caliber. They are really, really good.
The other night, just William Nylander just literally just going down the stretch of the ice on the left-hand side, just on his forehand, just brings it over from his backhand to his forehand and just snipes it. And Rittich, the Calgary goalie, looks over and saw it hit the crossbar and just starts skating to the bench because he knew that thing went in when he heard it ding. Like,
jeez,
it was an absolute snipe. It was an absolute snipe. He just went around the whole defenders and then just took it right onto his forehand, just right in.
Yeah, they are loaded with
Philly.
snipers.
That's the other thing. I already mentioned that. Bruins won big in Philly. So, I mean.
Hey, it was fun to see an outdoor series. That was fun to see.
It was.
Lake Tahoe, they did a great job with the setting there on that golf course. That looked really cool. The ice, actually, they could have done a better job with making the ice better because I know that first game, Vegas and Colorado, after the first period got postponed and they couldn't play the rest of it until midnight that night because the ice was so shitty. The refs and the players were tripping all over in the first period. So they took like an 8-hour break and came back to it later.
Tough.
But
it's tough making that ice out there. It's not.
It definitely is. Yeah, and I think it was like really cold the whole week, which made the ice look good. And then right when the game started, it got like really sunny and warm, and the ice started getting melty and slushy.
And then later at night, it's not cold, so then you just get this disleveled and jagged ice. It's just, I mean, Justin, I mean, Jerry, we got to get you out there skating on a nice pond. But Justin, I have been out there when there's been terrible, just jagged grooves in those ponds. They're just terrible. Oh my God.
It's terrible.
But other than that, I mean, there's not much news except, I mean, again, hockey, there's just a high caliber of hockey this season, too. I mean, the Blue Jackets were very low, and they're fighting for a playoff spot right now. I mean, really, that central
always are with Tortorella.
Panthers, Lightning, Hurricanes, Blackhawks, Blue Jackets are all fighting for a spot, and the Panthers are number one right now.
The Panthers and Hurricanes have been the surprises for me. The Panthers and Hurricanes are both playing a lot of winning hockey, and they're high in the set. They're both top 5. The
Dallas is the surprise for me. They just haven't played well.
Yeah, I know. Very true. I know they still have fewer games played than most teams, but the Stars have not looked like the Stars that were in the Stanley Cup last year. So it's been a cool hockey season. I know, COVID's ruining a lot of things, and hockey included. There's postponed games every single night, and there's postponed games every single night in the NBA too. It's really frustrating, and I don't know when it's going to go away. Yeah. And it does suck to see, like some stadiums, and you had mentioned it when we were talking about the NBA too, how it makes a difference to have fans in the building. I think the number in the NBA is like 14 teams are now having fans, and it's like, if you're one of the teams that isn't, like the Celtics or the Bruins, and you're going, all your home games are silent, and you go on the road, and majority of your road games are now with fans, that's just not right. That's not fair.
Yeah. So
that hurts you.
Yeah, and the thing I'll add to that is Virginia played Florida State the other day, and they lost pretty hefty amount. I think it was last week actually. But it's different, bro. Like Florida State had a decent amount of fans in there, and you could tell that it made a significant difference, not just from Virginia being rattled, but from the hype that the home team gets from just the fans being there. So across the board, I really think you need to evaluate whether you can have fans in there or not, because I think it's just a different, when the team hasn't been exposed like that, like in a certain period of time, I just don't think it's that fair, but it'll be.
And especially when
it should be a league-wide decision. It should be a league-wide decision.
No, agreed.
We're talking about a 7-game series where you're going back and forth between fans and no fans, and your home team is the no fans. That's going to be miserable, and that will have an impact on the playoffs.
It should be a league. It should be a league decision on whether fans should be or not.
No, definitely. I'm hoping by like the time, and because when the playoffs going to come around for NHL and NBA,
I believe. Well, it'll be pretty similar timelines, and we're still like 3 months out. We're still like 2-3 months out.
But we're almost halfway.
So I'm hoping by May that every team in the league can get some type of fans and like some number of fans in the building. But I think they're going to have to regulate that because, agreed, like once it comes playoff time, that makes a difference. It definitely decreases the incentive to win, because if you have no fans in there,
you wouldn't want to be the home team.
Well, I feel like it's not that thrilling of winning. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously you should just want to win for the sake of winning, but at the end of the day, like if you're going to a away game and the team is getting like, they're getting cheered on, like they're like, go whatever, and you're coming home and there's just no fans in the building, that can have a toll on you. Like there's just really, it doesn't seem like you're playing for anything. Obviously you're going to freaking win because, but I just think, it's going to have to be, both leagues are going to have to make a decision whether to completely have fans in the building. I don't think they will, honestly, which is going to suck. But
the problem is that it's city by city, that the cities have to make the choice, not the league. So, I mean, it would have to be like the league's decision would be, if there's any cities left that are still saying no, then nobody can, which those cities will not be happy with. So it's a tough spot. It's just a tough spot, like everything else has been during this time. And it was definitely different in the bubble, in the NHL and NBA bubbles, when everybody's playing in the same building every night and there's nobody gets any fans because everybody's all in the same place. That's a completely different story than flying between cities where some have fans and some don't, like you guys said. So yeah, I know we'll see what happens, but really hoping things open back up real damn soon for everybody.
Hopefully.
I mean, the only other big surprise for me, or not really surprise, but I mean, Justin's going to be very hyped to hear this. The Oilers are second place right now.
I know, dude. I know. I'm finally happy.
And they're winning games. They're going to lose now every single game, and they're going to probably just miss. They're probably just going to lose everything.
And Connor McDavid is just continuing to do facts, just continuing to be ridiculous. The other day, through the first 2 periods, he already had a hat trick into it. He had 5 points. He had 2 assists. I'm like, oh, it's the second period. It's midway through the second period. He's got 5 points. Like, this guy is just ridiculous. He's a scoring machine. I've never seen a hockey player like him. But I didn't get to witness Wayne.
I'm not saying this will happen, but he is so young. If there's one guy who is young enough right now at the age that could possibly take one of Gretzky's records in some area, it's some area. McDavid.
Certainly won't be points, but some area.
It won't be points, but I think he could take probably one of Gretzky's small little records that's like, most points scored in a period or whatever.
Yeah, could be.
But I mean, it's just the thing to look forward to for a guy like that. And, I hate how he's on the team, and I don't always like his attitude. He's one of those guys. But at the end of the day, you just got to give him credits. He's a great hockey player. He's a fast skater, and he gets shit
absolutely. Done. And the league is in good. You saw the players of the week for this week were NHL's player of the week, not ours. Where Matthews, McDavid, and Pasa, and all those guys are under 25. You're just looking at it thinking the league's in good hands. The league's in good hands.
And they're making right decisions. And that's really it for hockey. I mean, it's kind of quiet on that front. Nothing really major with news.
Well, appreciate it, John. I think the last thing I'll just mention, and then we can kind of wrap up. There's not a ton of NFL news. The only thing I was going to bring up was the big JJ Watt mystery of where he's going to go.
I think he'll go to Pittsburgh with his brother. It's honestly my decision. I think that's going to happen.
So did you see what happened? He tweeted, I have the tweet up.
D-Hop, I did see that.
Not even the D-Hop one, but what JJ Watt tweeted about, like how he takes forever to pick a DoorDash and restaurant stuff. Yeah, if you have the tweet, go ahead and read it.
Well, so I saw that too. That's not what I was referring to, but
okay, wow, all right, yeah.
No, I'll bring that up. So someone said, so what Justin's talking about was someone said like, any idea where you're going? I don't have that tweet up. I don't know when it was, but he said something along the lines of like, it takes me like an hour to pick like a DoorDash restaurant, like give me some time or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Exactly.
Yeah. The tweet I had up was, I don't know if you guys heard about this. It was a huge thing. I guess it wasn't huge, but it came up on my feed a lot. Was he tweeted the mitochondria as the powerhouse of the cell. Did you see that?
I didn't see that. No.
Okay. So he tweeted mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell on Twitter. It got 188,000 likes. Everyone just thinks it's some type of cryptic message for where he's going to go. So one person, there were a bunch of crazy things. I don't have all of them up, but people were making references to like what the cell was. And they're like, oh, it's the league and how the powerhouse, like Cleveland Browns are an upcoming powerhouse in the league. So that's where he's going to.
I don't know. Mitochondria is the powerhouse. It creates the proteins, doesn't it? Or it helps distribute the proteins.
Well, yeah, but people are trying to figure out what it means. So, so
I think he's just messing with people.
I don't think it's anything, but there was one thing that was kind of cool, which might just be like just a random thing. Someone tweeted, there's a mitochondria research society in Buffalo, New York.
Oh,
so
okay, because Buffalo, I heard it was Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo were the runners up.
Yeah.
Okay, and wait, the Bills are kind of a powerhouse coming up.
The Bills are kind of a powerhouse. So it's kind of I don't think it means anything. I think he's just playing with people, but it's kind of cool. I saw it and I was like, that's interesting.
It's cool. That is cool.
But where do you guys think he'll go? Just for quick.
I think it's going to be Buffalo or Pittsburgh, really.
I think I would love to see him go to Cleveland.
I'd like him to cool. I'd like him to Here's what I think is going to happen.
He's going to go to the Jets. That's all I have to say.
Where do you think he's going, Justin?
So first of all, like you mentioned, John, how DeAndre Hopkins posted like a Photoshop picture with JJ saying like we should finish what we started like down in Arizona. That would be cool, but I doubt that'll actually happen. I feel like there's been all this talk about Buffalo, Pittsburgh, or whatever, and we're gonna get the alerts. JJ Watt goes to Tampa Bay with Tom Brady and all that shit. I just know it's gonna happen. They're just gonna keep stocking up, and they're gonna go back. Oh, I definitely have a feeling that
defensive line is gonna be like Devin. That's gonna be White. It's gonna be Levante David. That's gonna be Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh.
JJ Watt.
Vita V, JJ Watt. Oh my God.
You really think he goes to Tampa Bay?
I just could see it. It's just be another one of those things where they get a star for a cheaper amount of money just because he wants to go get a ring, and like what better place to go get a ring than
he's right. But then again, I don't think JJ's that type of player.
But I don't think he's that type of player.
And there's no rumors about this. There's no rumors about this.
That guy.
This just came into my head. But I feel like I can just see it happening.
He's really
I wouldn't
a loyal
be surprised.
Guy. He's a nice, and he did a lot for Houston. I feel like he'll go somewhere we were.
I would be surprised if he did that, to be totally honest. Just because it doesn't seem he's like that. Like he's that type of player. I'd be surprised. I'm not counting it out, but I would definitely be surprised.
Yeah, no, that'd be crazy. But no, more realistically though, I mean, both of his brothers are in Pittsburgh. So, no. Sorry, one of them in San Francisco, I think. Do I have that right? No, it's just TJ in Pittsburgh, right? Just TJ Watt is there in Pittsburgh. Yeah. So, anyways, but Pittsburgh would be an opportunity to go play with his brother. So, I mean, I can see that for sure. Buffalo would be a good spot. And like now that you've been running through all those tweets there, it does make me think Buffalo maybe. That's if he was doing all that to try to get people to find that mitochondria plant or whatever in Buffalo, that would be hilarious.
That would be so funny. I would be dead. But no, it's just been popping up a lot, and people have been. It could be nothing, but people were definitely making their takes of what it was. If he goes to Tampa Bay, call the season.
That's a GG for the league. That's going to be
call the season right now. Call the season right now. Tom Brady's getting another ring. That will be, to me,
that defense will be unstoppable.
No one will get by the defense. Tom Brady, I think, could have a shit season and still win a ring.
He could have a shit season and still go like 12-4 and make the playoffs and then get a fucking ring.
Crazy.
Yep. Yeah, that would be wild. That'd be wild.
That's all we got for today. If you want to wrap up, Jerry.
Yeah, we'll wrap up. There's not a ton of news today, but definitely a good talk, boys. If you made it this far, you've obviously liked something. Please like and subscribe. Appreciate it. And
go follow us on Instagram if you're not.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram if you're not. And boys, it's been a great day talking to you guys. Well,
it's been real, boys. Peace.